Imagine reaching the end of your life and realizing your biggest burden isn't the diet you didn't stick to or the vacations you skipped, but the decades-old crime you committed. From clearing consciences to downright bizarre confessions, these deathbed truths are juicier than a reality TV finale and way more real. The disappearance of Amy Billig and a startling deathbed revelation. In 1974, 17-year-old Amy Billig, drawn to the world of motorcycle clubs in Coconut Grove, Florida, disappeared after leaving home to visit her father. Her abandoned camera was found by a highway, but no other clues emerge. Years later, in 1998, Paul Branch, a former Pagans motorcycle club enforcer, confessed on his deathbed that he took Amy to a party where she overdosed, and her body was disposed of in the Everglades. The club denied involvement, and Branch's admission left her family unconvinced. Despite the confession, the case remains unresolved, leaving her loved ones without closure. The silent film scandal. William Desmond Taylor's unsolved case. William Desmond Taylor, a famed silent film director and actor, was found dead in his Los Angeles home on February 1, 1922. The murder shocked Hollywood, sparking a major investigation. Robbery was ruled out as valuables were untouched, suggesting a crime of passion. Among the many theories and suspects, one name was notably absent: Margaret Gibson, a former actress and colleague of Taylor's. Gibson, who later lived under the alias Pat Lewis, stunned those around her by confessing to the murder on her death decades later. She provided no motive or proof, casting doubt on her claim. While intriguing, her confession lacked evidence, leaving the case unresolved and adding to the mystique of Hollywood's early days. The Loch Ness Monster hoax. A revealed truth. The Loch Ness Monster legend, with roots in the 6th century, surged in popularity in the 1930s. By 1934, interest peaked when a photo, dubbed the surgeon's photo, showed what appeared to be Nessie's long neck and head emerging from the loch. The image, taken by respected Dr. Colonel Robert Wilson, captivated the world. Decades later, in 1993, Christian Sperling, an artist and model maker, revealed on his deathbed that the photo was a hoax. He admitted he, Wilson, and his stepfather, Marmaduke Wetherill, created the illusion using a 12-inch wooden model on a toy submarine. Sperling's confession exposed the legendary photo as a staged deception, debunking an enduring myth. John Walsh's mission born from tragedy. Before John Walsh became famous as the host of America's Most Wanted, he endured the tragic disappearance of his 6-year-old son, Adam, on July 27, 1981. From a Florida Sears store, Adam's mother had briefly lost sight of him, and weeks later, his partial remains were found over 100 miles away. This heartbreaking loss fueled Walsh's lifelong mission to fight for missing and exploited children. Serial killer Otis Toole, already in prison, confessed to abducting and killing Adam, but recanted multiple times. However, in a sincere death confession to his niece, Toole expressed remorse. Though physical evidence was lacking, authorities officially closed the case, naming Toole as the culprit, giving Walsh and many others some semblance of closure and purpose. The murder Joan Harrison wasn't supposed to be. Joan Harrison's murder in 1975 initially appeared to be another chapter in the brutal spree of the Yorkshire Ripper, who terrorized England between 1976 and 1981. The real killer, Peter Sutcliffe, was convicted for the deaths of 13 women. For years, Harrison's death was mistakenly attributed to Sutcliffe, but the truth was far more complex. In an unexpected twist, Christopher Smith, a convicted offender, was arrested for a separate charge and had his DNA sampled. This DNA linked him to the Harrison case decades after her murder. After Smith's death, authorities found a letter he had written, in which he admitted guilt in a roundabout way. The letter mentioned his long-buried remorse and a need to clear his conscience, along with an apology to those he had hurt. The case that shocked Sycamore, Illinois. The disappearance of Maria Ridulph in December 1957 sent shockwaves through the small town of Sycamore, Illinois. On that fateful day, Maria and her friend Kathy Sigmund were playing in the snow when a man approached them. Kathy briefly ran inside to grab a toy, and when she returned, both Maria and the stranger had vanished. Months later, Maria's remains were discovered in a nearby area, but the trail went cold for decades. In 2008, Janet Tessier broke her silence and told police that her brother, John Tessier, was responsible for Maria's death and that their mother had covered for him. Eileen Tessier's death confession in 1994 revealed that she had lied about John's whereabouts during the murder, claiming he was on a military base. By the time authorities caught up with John, who was now known as Jack McCullough and living in Seattle, he had changed his life path completely. McCullough was arrested and convicted in 2012. However, after a review of the evidence, including a collect call that placed him in a different town at the time of the murder, he was declared innocent in 2017. Geraldine Kelly's freezer confession. Geraldine Kelly appeared to be an innocent widow grieving the tragic death of her husband, John, who was believed to have died in a car accident during the 1990s. It wasn't until 2004, as Kelly faced her battle with cancer, that the truth came out. With the end drawing near, she admitted that she had shot John over a decade earlier and kept his body hidden in a freezer. After the murder, she moved his remains to Massachusetts, where they remained undisturbed until authorities acted on her tip. Upon searching the house, police found John's body, still sealed inside the unplugged freezer with duct tape. Kelly's motives remain unclear to this day, but her final confession solved a case that had haunted her family for years. A haunting note of apology. Christopher Smith, linked through DNA to the murder of Joan Harrison, had spent years living under the weight of his crime. After his death, authorities found a note that he had written, which expressed remorse for his actions. The letter was not a straightforward confession, but an indirect admission of guilt that alluded to the crime and conveyed deep regret. It mentioned his inability to live with the guilt any longer and included an apology to anyone he had hurt. The DNA match, combined with the letter, confirmed him as the killer, finally giving the Harrison family the closure they sought for decades. That's all for today's video. If these shocking death confessions left you speechless, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories and mysteries you won't want to miss. Until next time, keep your secrets safe, or don't.